All right, Justin Cooper, fist bump, man.
How you doing, sir?
Good to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
A little bit nervous, but very excited as well.
Yeah, even I kind of get nervous sometimes. Part of it is just learning how to be a host.
Yeah.
So anyway, welcome on the show. The nerves don't matter. It's super casual, just you and me talking. And so, Justin, you have your own real estate firm. Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, it's a real estate team.
Okay.
That I'm actually working on developing, I'd say more than anything else, the Cooper Real Estate Group. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
And how did you get to this point in your life? So, if you're doing real estate now, what's the chain of events that led you to this?
Lots of odd events, starting back, real estate, where I started in real estate was really as a real estate appraiser. And that's about 18 years ago. Actually kind of fell into that. I mean, never planned on being in real estate, never planned to be a real estate appraiser or anything like that. I happened to get sick when I was about 20 years old. I got diagnosed with kidney failure, and I was doing cable installs before, so I was a cable guy.
Was that one of your first jobs?
That was, probably one of my first real jobs. I'd worked for my dad before. He used to own RV dealership in Roseville Village RV.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked there a lot, but it's kind of that family thing.
When you're young, you do a bunch of stuff.
Exactly.
Patch it all together. Working at Dish Network was my first job.
Oh, that's funny.
So
okay.
I pulled plenty of cable.
Oh yeah.
So that's cool. Okay.
Yeah.
So go on. Sorry.
That's all right. No, it was a fun job. I actually really liked it. Climbing telephone poles and working with tools. I enjoy that stuff. But I got got sick to the point where I wasn't really able to keep up with that type of job. I was doing dialysis like 3 days a week for 3 hours, so it wasn't something that I could keep doing. And a family friend said, "Hey, I'm an appraiser. It's kind of busy right now. I'm just looking for some office help," and gotten there and started learning that job. I really kind of enjoyed it. I like the analysis part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's always kind of exciting to me.
Were you appraising in this area?
I was appraising. Yeah. I mean, he lived down in Citrus Heights, so that's where we worked out of. But we were up here. We were in El Dorado County. I mean, you kind of name it. We were probably within, hour and a half, 2 hour drive,
right.
and just doing all those kind of things.
And so how many years again were you doing appraising?
It took me, what was it? I think, unfortunately, right around 2007,
Mm-hmm.
I'd been doing it basically since I'd say 2001 to about 2007, which is right around the crash, and which is exactly the time that I got my license and was ready to go out on my own. I was super excited, and hey, everything changed.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to go back to work for my dad for a while, just finding ways to make money, because it was not.
Nobody's buying houses.
Mm-hmm. The whole appraisal thing changed. They went to AMCs. Fees went from $450 an appraisal to like $150, $200.
Right. You're I can't make a living doing
exactly,
that.
Exactly. So you kind of went to work back for my dad for a little bit, and then RVs weren't my thing. I wanted to be back in real estate somehow, some way. And I found a job with another real estate agent, which they were doing what's called BPOs, which is a broker price opinion.
Okay.
And those things were really huge back around the crash.
Okay.
Basically, banks wanted to know what property values were worth, and they'd order these BPOs.
Right. You're right, because everything was so unstable.
Absolutely.
It was like this way to approach appraisal at that time.
Just a lot of it was used for short sales or for foreclosures, getting an understanding what the value of the house was, and they'd order like multiple BPOs on properties
right.
throughout that whole process, the foreclosure process or whatever. So it was intense.
Right. So obviously that whole experience in real estate is foundational to what you're doing now.
Absolutely.
And then was there any lapse in between all the appraisal work and where you are now with putting together a real estate group? Because like sometimes we go off on tangents and then we come home.
Sure. I didn't leave real estate too much. Like I said, I did a little bit of time in RVs, doing like finance manager work, and what else? I mean, kind of some sales stuff, but again, not really my cup of tea. So did those BPOs and then got hired on with an investment firm that was doing fix and flips kind of thing, and doing buy and holds for investors. So I ended up becoming an acquisitions manager there, and I think I did that for about 4 years and really got to learn a lot of good stuff. We were buying homes at auction. We were, going to Texas and Las Vegas and doing auctions there, learning, hey, how much is it going to cost to fix up this house? What's it going to be worth once we're all done with that? What can we buy it for? It was a great learning experience. Really got to kind of cut my teeth there, and learn even more than I had before. And kind of get a little bit of, I don't know, maybe guts, it's a little scary when you're, bidding against other people, for a property, and, you don't want to screw it up. You gotta know your stuff ahead of time, kind of, to be able to make a good purchase and to make money on the backside when you sell that.
Right. And the transactions are big.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Having guts is necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
If somebody wanted to get started in real estate, like, why might they be interested in real estate to begin with, and what might they do to get started?
I'd feel bad if they were. No. I think the first thing, to be interested in real estate, obviously you gotta like working with people, some way, shape, or form. You can't be too shy. Although I'm not really an extrovert, I do tend to be a little introverted, but I can talk to people. Okay.
Sure.
And I think that's important. And then, you obviously you can take the test, you study for the exam. It's really simple. Unfortunately, the bar is not very high, but it is not even a quarter. I don't even know that you use half of that stuff.
Right.
Once you actually get into real estate.
Right.
So, more than anything, I'd go find another agent to talk to that's doing good, or a few agents to talk to, just kind of see what they're doing. There's so many different avenues in real estate, that you can really kind of do whatever you want. That's kind of what I like about it.
Right. It's a whole industry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. You could be on the more investment side. You can work with more investors. You could flip properties yourself, or you can go the more retail route and just, work with buyers and sellers. Or you can do, mix of both, or, there's just so many different avenues. You can be more on the lease side, property management, a lot of different opportunities there.
I feel like real estate is one of those industries that I think marketing can kind of be like this too. There is somewhat, to get it started, a pretty low barrier to entry, right? Like you're talking about passing the real estate exam, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or it's like marketing, you could teach yourself, with books and YouTube.
Sure.
And so and I think Charlie and I have talked about this a little bit, where when there's a low barrier to entry into a certain field, it kind of becomes like fertile ground for really spammy or behavior, or just like low quality behavior.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like with real estate, if you turn on the radio in your car, you're bound to hear some sort of real estate investing ad, or learn how to flip.
Come to our class. Yeah.
It's like, oh man,
and
even if it's good stuff and they have good intentions, I always feel like the way they're approaching it is, it feels like a gimmick.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would agree. I haven't come to that conclusion of the low barrier entry, but
they might not be related.
They could be. Yeah.
I don't know,
but I would definitely agree that there is a lot of that out there. And come buy my book. It's only $10, and it'll teach you how to do this and this and this, and you can make millions.
Well, right. I always find that, okay, so there's like a bajillion real estate agents, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then I guess when I find out that somebody else I know is going to become a real estate agent, I wonder. So for me, I don't see the appeal. I know that there's money to be made for sure. Yeah. But I'm always wondering, why did you choose that route? How are you going to be any different than anybody else? How do you stand out?
Yeah.
Or how many, is it going to take a decade? Is it going to take 2 decades for you to build up any sort of reputation that, becomes super valuable.
Sure.
you know?
And I, I struggle with that still every day. I mean, it's hard to set yourself apart. I think I kind of had a foot up. Just being, having all that other experience, having the appraisal experience, having the customer service experience from working at Village RV and other places like that. And then having some of the kind of renovation experience, understanding what things are going to cost to fix them up, what things to look for when I'm going through a house. Cause I flip and renovate homes as well. So,
I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
I was like, have you ever flipped a home before?
Absolutely. So, it's important, going in there and understanding what's going on with the house. And so I kind of, like I said, I had that foot up. I knew a lot. And honestly, like I said, I didn't plan on going into real estate. I think if I would have gone with my plans, I probably would have been a pro skier or a musician, but I can't sing. So, and I'm working on guitar. So.
Well, we'll just start a band because being a musician's one of my pipe dreams.
Yes.
It's like, just freaking play music in a band and have a good time.
Absolutely.
And
it doesn't, you can be that full on artist where it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter what other people think. You're just doing it kind of for yourself and creating this thing. And I think it ends up who being the best artist anyways, because
they're all there.
They're all there. It's all them. Yeah. They're putting it out there.
Yeah. The heart's there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And nobody gets to screw with them too.
Yeah. What do you play then?
Guitar.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, shoot. I'll have to learn something different then.
Well, no, you could have two.
We could have two guitars.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I could play bass.
Lead or rhythm or something. Yeah. Bass. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Hop on the drum kit.
I like it.
I spent a lot of time teaching myself drums as a teenager. So
okay.
It's just music's awesome.
Yeah.
It's like jet fuel for me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I like I said, I just kind of fell into it. It wasn't really a choice. It was just that I'd gone so far in real estate with other things that I was like, I don't know what else I do right now. I mean, I really kind of know this. So I'm just going to keep going with it.
Right. So what do you think your hardest lesson was in the real estate industry so far? Or it doesn't have to be literally the hardest, but a standout lesson where you're like, oh my gosh, that was a nightmare. I'm not doing that again. Because we've all been there in some way, shape, or form, even if it's not that extreme. I don't know.
Yeah. I think it's that daily struggle of constantly feeding that pipeline, constantly staying in touch with people, and constantly following up with people. And that is a struggle for me. I hate to be on the phone. I hate to call, these leads that, maybe I captured off of Facebook or Zillow, and they really don't want to talk to me necessarily. And, making those calls, I've gotten better at it, and I've gotten really good at it lately, where it just, I don't worry so much about the rejection anymore.
Right.
Or just the hangups, so now I'll sit there and watch funny videos on YouTube or Facebook while I'm making calls, so I kind of have something, that
That's
I'm
interesting.
Somebody hung up on me. Oh, well, but that's pretty funny over there.
It's like brain hacking.
Exactly. Trying to change my outlook on it. And that has been one of my biggest struggles, is that constant follow-up, calling people, and just trying to create that relationship. And especially now it's been a challenge, because one of my biggest things is doing open houses. I love open houses. I love, being there and meeting people in person. That's kind of where I shine a little bit better.
Right.
And now it's just so much. I mean, you can't do open houses right now.
Oh yeah. Right.
So it's so much just this online, and I'm working, we've talked a little bit about working on creating more of an online presence and an online community, and hey, here's me,
Yeah. Well, it's tough. Because everybody has to go online now.
Yeah.
Right. So it's something that everybody should have been on top of before. Well, look, you can't blame people for not expecting a pandemic.
Sure.
But, the opportunity was always there on the other hand.
Absolutely.
And so now everybody's trying to make it work. They're kind of scrambling to make it work, vying for attention. And it's look, a lot of industries don't. The internet happened after these industries existed.
Yeah.
And these industries are built around not the internet.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right? Now, it's not saying you can't do it. It's just if you're now going to be trying to fit that mold in a panic state, it's going to be rough.
Exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, filling the pipeline is one of the hard ones. Now, what's the state of, what do you think of real estate in this area right now? Like, is it slowed down, or like people still buying, or?
Yeah, people are surprisingly still buying. I mean, we had, this is obviously kind of the selling season, which always kind of baffles me. I mean, it is, no matter
being
like
summer.
Summer. Yeah. I mean, no matter, most times it's kind of based on the school schedule, but even older people without kids still seem to be stuck in this like 4-month period of summer. Spring and summer is a selling season. So this is a busy time. We lost about a month with the coronavirus, obviously. I mean, right when it happened, that was kind of the start of the season, and really slowed everything down. Although about a month later, it came roaring back. And, again, in this area and in most areas in the United States, it seems, there's just a shortage of inventory.
Right. So values are staying up.
You're still getting multiple offers on properties because there's a lot of buyers out there. They're still looking to buy a home. And I think a lot of people got pushed off the fence, too, with the interest rates, and maybe just going, hey, now's the time. I don't want to be stuck in this apartment. But so real estate has been moving fantastically lately.
Right. So other than prices being high or staying high, it's really a buyer's market.
No, seller's market.
Seller's okay.
Market. Yeah.
Got it.
Sellers are the one in control right now.
Right. Because the values are high, and because, like, for example, if interest rates are low, it makes it more likely that somebody wants to get in the game to buy.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
And not enough homes on the market.
Right.
So you have, maybe just call it 3 or 4 buyers per home, and they're all vying for that one property, Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What?
Go ahead.
No, I want to ask you like kind of an opposite question rather than struggles. Like, what sort of like successes have you seen that, or in your own work that, like, have you surprised yourself before? Really, like in a good way.
I surprise myself every day, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have anything that comes top of mind here. But what, I guess I'll go take it a little bit different direction.
Sure.
And what I really enjoy about entrepreneurship and real estate in general is you have the opportunity to create something, and you have, every day it's kind of like, how do I make myself better? How do I make this better?
Right.
And reading and listening to things. I don't know, man. I love learning. So that's kind of one of my favorite things, is just, sitting there, kind of brainstorming, how can I do things better?
Right.
All that kind of stuff.
Right. There might be a really great way to put a house on the market, and to bring it to people's attention. That is unique and attention grabbing.
Yeah.
And that might be your special sauce.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for a while when I really kind of first started out, I tried a lot of different things, and, tried to do these big giant open houses with a barbecue and, balloons and everything like that. And, it was cool, but it's hard to get that planned, in a short time period, because you don't always have like a week or two to plan for this open house. Most times you're a couple days, before the open house, and you're trying to throw all this stuff together.
I want to ask you about the people that attend open houses. Are there like the equivalent to wedding crashers? Like they just show up for the food, like the barbecue. They're like, dude, free barbecue chicken.
Absolutely.
That's hilarious.
And mostly, not mostly, but a lot of times it's neighbors.
Right.
Hey, just wanted to see what they did to this house. I've never been in here before.
Yeah, but you know what they're really doing? They want to like scout out who the potential buyers are.
Very true.
They're like, well, we're gonna like filter. They're gonna be like, hey, there's like this is painted with lead paint. like we don't want him to buy that or her to buy the house. That's interesting.
Yeah. That or like, can we get some of that food, or the lovely, hey, open house is 2 to 4 today. I'm taking down signs 4 o'clock. I'm like, okay, ready to go home. And then somebody comes into the house, and, maybe it's even the neighbor that wants to stay and chat for an hour, or somebody that just wants to chat your ear off for an hour, but has no intentions of buying the house at 4 p.m. or 4:05, and you're like, look, I really, I want to show you this house.
No, but they want to tell you their life story.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Open houses. So that's obviously one strategy to show houses.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not a real estate agent. I don't know How else? Okay, you're going to throw it up online.
Yep.
You're going to try to throw an open house, if you're not in a pandemic, I guess.
Yeah.
Like what other sort of things are people doing these days?
One of the biggest things to me is fantastic photos.
Mm-hmm.
As a consumer and as somebody who looks at houses all day, having fantastic photos is huge.
Yeah, we should talk about that.
Yeah.
It's not just the picture quality, right?
No.
Who was it? Was it Cardone? Was it Grant Cardone I was listening to?
Okay.
No, Dave Ramsey.
Okay.
I don't know how I got them mixed up. Probably because Cardone's a real estate guy. Dave Ramsey talking about giving somebody advice on how to sell their home.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, whether you have an agent or not, he's like, you better make that house, you get all your crap out of it or hide it, something, make it squeaky clean, make the front yard look beautiful. He's like, you as the owner who's trying to get rid of this thing and make a sale, whether you have an agent or not, it's irrelevant. You need to do everything you can for curb appeal.
Absolutely.
And so if you do the photography yourself, or if you hire a photographer, look, it needs to look amazing.
Yeah.
You're selling something worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. Act like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Even fixing like switch plates and stuff like that, sometimes, or just different color. I mean, just that little thing can change so much about a house, or at least the perception of people, of that house.
Right. Like I could go on Zillow and look at a house right now, and then there's like dirty laundry on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, you really?
Yeah.
Thought
and
it was
the agent was like shooting with their iPhone, their old iPhone or something like that,
right.
And then they're in the picture in the mirror in the bathroom.
It looks like a MySpace picture.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. That is not good marketing.
Well, it makes just it gives you a feeling. So everything comes down to that, right? So if we could twist this into marketing, it's like the product is actually the same, but how you present it really, really matters.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Everything from the pictures to the write-up. Just all of that. I mean, it goes into it. And then I think it's always kind of telling a story too, about the house or about the area, because it's not necessarily just a house. I mean, that's memories and family nights or whatever. I mean,
right.
There's so much more to it, than just being a house and, 3 bedrooms, 4 baths or whatever.
Right. It's funny that you bring up the write-ups, because I feel like some people get really flamboyant with their, or maybe that's not the right word. They get really eccentric.
Sure.
They're like, check out this cute as buttons, little cottage, makes your gingerbread dreams come true. I'm like, what do people really appreciate that? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, hey, why not swing for the fences?
Yeah.
Mentality. I don't know.
Yeah. Everybody seems to have their own little thing. I see some people that it's like, they're repeating the basic facts of the home. Like, check out this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house, single story in Roseville. It's beautiful.
Right. Like, okay. You didn't tell me anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'd imagine in subdivisions you have to get creative.
You gotta get a little creative, and
what is it by? Because it's the same as all the other houses.
Exactly. What is it by? What's cool about this location? That's almost a more important thing, because you got 5 other houses or 100 other houses on this block that
it's got a pool and solar.
The same thing. Yeah. Exactly.
Watch
out for solar though.
What makes it different? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's an interesting. We should talk about that maybe.
Yeah. Solar's great, but I don't, I know all the solar people, but they go around telling people it's going to add value to your house and it's going to add $30,000 value to a house. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It does not have
from an appraisal standpoint.
From an appraisal standpoint, and from what the market's going to do. It just, especially with like leases, and the PPAs and stuff like that, the power purchase agreements.
Okay.
They're sometimes more troublesome in a transaction than being a benefit. And they don't add that value right now. They just don't, and I know that's one of the big selling points.
Do you think it's because acquiring solar for your home has become more accessible? Do you think that's part of it? Like Like it's not that big of a deal to add solar to your house?
No, I just think there's a lot of variables to it, especially when you're talking about leased systems.
You're just against the blanket statement of it makes your house more valuable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Got
I mean,
it.
in some cases, you probably could win.
Sure.
But I just don't think, when they come in and it's going to increase your value by like $30,000. No, it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You might have spent $30,000.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, when you get into the leases, your buyer has to take over that lease, and so it's another qualifying thing that they have to do. And sometimes a lot of the buyers are just on the edge of being able to even buy a house
to begin with.
Exactly. So
Right.
then you throw that on top of it, and depending on the lease terms, depending on a whole bunch of stuff, there's just so many variables that it's not a blanket statement of it's going to add value.
Right. One thing, and I don't know if it's an irrational like fear or not, but I always feel like having solar to some degree introduces like risk to this, like almost to the structure of the house. Like it's like, who installed it?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
I don't know, how long has it been here? Like, is it bolted to the ceiling? The roof? Is it leaking? I mean, obviously that's what you have home inspections for.
Yeah.
But
still over time, things can change. I mean, the caulking on the holes in the roof, dry up and allows water to get in. Absolutely. And then, a lot of them have, the installers have different warranties. Some of them are like a 10-year warranty on, the roof where they put it in.
Do you think it makes sense? I'm asking a real estate guy, not a solar guy, or a roofing guy, but it seems like if you had like a new roof put on and then you did solar at the same time, that might be a better approach.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have one like project like being bolted to another project.
Yeah.
And then you don't have warranties that cover both.
Exactly. No, I would 100% agree. I mean, if you're going to talk about maximizing anything from your solar, it would be having a new roof and then putting the solar on, not having a 25-year-old roof that's going to have to be replaced in 5 years or something.
Right.
Because then you got to remove the whole thing again.
Right.
So you got to pay for that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the idea that you can just have this array that absorbs sunlight and creates electricity.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I don't want to pay PG&E anything
ever again.
Extra that I don't have,
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I certainly want to do it on our property. We got 5 acres, so I got a little bit of room. I don't know if I'd ever do a roof system.
You might just put one out in the yard.
Put an array out there. Yeah. I think that's kind of the cool way to go if you got the space. Although it's going to take up some space, but
have some trenching.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very good. Let's see what else we got. You're into photography, right?
I am into photography. It's been a little while since I really shot a lot of good stuff, but I always love doing it. I've been playing around with Photoshop and Lightroom lately, and trying to do that. I've shot my own pictures for real estate photography, although I feel like hiring a professional anymore is just better. They got the drones, they got all the cool stuff to really make it work. But yeah, photography, I love doing CrossFit. I love working out. I love gardening a lot. I love being out, just kind of working on projects. I like working with my hands a lot. It's nice to be able to kind of see a finished project,
that you built with your hands.
That I did. Yeah.
It's funny. You just mentioned all these things that you enjoy.
Okay.
And, my mind created all these parallels, like in real time, where it's like gardening, the gym, business, they all have this thing in common where, like gardening, you watch something grow, but you still have to kind of like give it attention and kind of like foster that growth. Yeah. You go to the gym, it's like you're putting in the work.
Yeah.
You're taking care of your body, but you're also investing energy to have some sort of other positive outcome.
Yeah, and your mental state, right?
Yeah. And so I think having those hobbies, or maybe they're not even hobbies, they're just things you like to do, that require attention to have any sort of result is like a really therapeutic way to keep yourself on track.
Absolutely. Well, it's funny. I mean, I was thinking about with gardening too, and it's such a good metaphor for businesses, period. Real estate. I mean, you know, you're starting, you're planting the seed, and you know, you gotta care for it. You gotta nurture it, you know, throughout that whole time, which is kind of what I look at like lead nurturing or just building those relationships. You know, you're planting that seed, and you gotta follow up with it. You gotta go water it. You gotta talk to it. You gotta, you know, feed it and do all these things. You know, keep the weeds away from it. You know, it takes effort and time, but the reward is very great. And I think that's the same thing for, you know, building your business, you know, following up with leads, building those relationships, you know, it takes time. And I had this other epiphany too. I'm trying to think of it right now, but basically, you know, I'm constantly mowing. Like, we have a star thistle issue.
Okay.
I think everybody in Auburn and Grass Valley, you know, it's there, and it's constantly mowing, and it's back the next week, you know. And maybe I heard this epiphany somewhere else, or, you know, whatever. But, you know, it's like, hey, you got to go out there. You can't just like mow these things down. You got to go out there and pull them out. You got to pull out your weeds by hand, you know, and
get them out by the roots.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it requires that extra
effort. Yeah. But if you do that, you'll have a more permanent solution than just, you know, mowing over it. And I think that's a big thing in life. Like I said, maybe somebody else said that. I'm sure I didn't come up with it, but just, you know, taking control of that and, you know, grabbing those roots and getting it out of there and having a clean slate to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then you get to enjoy the fact that you don't have a yard full of star thistle.
Exactly.
For like quite a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson, clean your room.
Yeah, for sure. Start there and put in the effort and then work outwards.
You familiar with Jordan Peterson at all?
You know, I don't think I am.
Oh. You want to give a bullet point explanation?
He's just a psychologist that wrote this book called 12 Rules for Life that just basically is like, listen, if you want to be successful, if you want to not be a loser, like, you know, stand up straight with your shoulders back, clean up your room, you know.
Get your act together.
Hey, you know what, though? Those are some good things. I mean, you know, sometimes just making your bed in the morning can be a big thing. Although I have to say I don't do that. My wife does that. Every once in a while I'll catch her in there and I'll help her.
Right. You're like trying to get like 2 brownie points.
Right. But it is, you know, those small little things sometimes can be an enormous change in your life.
Right.
You know, creating those small little habits can be life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you read?
All the time. Yeah. And like I tell you, man, you still got to go to the library and get your free app so you can, you know, drive all around like I do and listen to books on tape.
I know. I have a book list that's like 50 titles long.
Right. Yeah.
So I gotta figure out how to consume it. So maybe that's the good way, right?
Yeah. I tell you, you know,
they have like a, what'd you say? They have some sort of app?
Yeah, so at least in Nevada County.
Okay.
I don't know about Placer County, but I'm sure they probably, if Nevada County has it, I'm sure Placer County has something similar.
Right.
But so you go sign up at your library and you download an app called Hoopla. There's always also one called Libby. And so basically you just put in your membership information for your library. And I think like right now, I think you get a lot, but normally it's about 5 books a month.
That's better than... a lot better deal than, what is it, Audible?
Right.
Well, because Audible is like $15 a month,
and then you get one
book.
Right.
Yeah, and this is free. I mean,
you might not have the extensive library.
Correct.
But who knows?
You can get a lot more on Amazon, or on Audible. But between the Libby app and between Hoopla, I can pretty much find anything. And there's some great business books, great self-improvement books out there, and just great page turners too. I mean, you can only do so much self-improvement. You gotta get some good page turners as well. But
do you have any favorites?
Favorite books?
Yeah, just
So certainly, you know, in the business realm, what's in my negotiation book that I really love? Never Split the Difference.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah. I love that book. That taught me so much about negotiation. I've listened to a lot of different negotiation classes too, because it's important for my business.
Right.
I think it's important for everybody too. I mean, you know, you're negotiating with your kids when you're trying to get them to go to bed at night, you know, or negotiating with your wife about things. I mean, it's something you use every day. And I really love that book. I love anything by Malcolm Gladwell.
Okay. What was why can't I think of it? The super famous one that he wrote.
Yes, I know what you're talking. The Tipping Point, maybe.
That sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't actually read that one.
I recognize his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's got Blink.
That's the one.
Oh, is that the one?
That's
okay.
the one that like has been recommended like 800 times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing book. I mean, seriously, yes. I'm recommending it once more. So maybe you're at 101.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that is a fantastic book. Anything that guy writes is just so in depth and so interesting. It kind of reminds me of some Freakonomics. I don't know if you ever read those books.
I think the original one.
Yeah.
When I was a senior in high school, I believe.
It's kind of those things that just kind of, wow, senior in high school. Okay, I was probably like, probably graduated for 10 years.
By the time Freakonomics came out. What was that, like 2008 or 9?
Yeah, probably. Probably. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I graduated in 99, so not that far away.
Got it.
But yeah. But yeah, I like those books that just kind of flip things on their head.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things that you kind of take for granted or think that's the way they are. And then they actually do the research and they're like, oh no, that's not it at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that stuff.
So do you think reading is like the most critical part of your personal development?
Absolutely.
Or one of the core.
One of the core. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That and, listening podcasts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's huge. I mean, that's your continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to go back to school and take some courses too.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's just, like I said, I mean, I drive a lot, I'm driving to appointments or I'm driving to look at houses. I'm driving down to Sacramento
Mm-hmm.
or wherever. And I got a classroom right in my car that I could sit there and listen to for, hour and a half, whatever I got to do.
Right.
And it's fantastic.
Yeah. I feel like that we do share a lot of like personality traits. Like I feel like we're both maybe not obsessive, but certainly lifelong learner types,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like kind of have an insatiable appetite for learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cause you had mentioned like you're in real estate, but it doesn't necessarily mean you couldn't have ended up somewhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows? Maybe I will. I don't know. We'll see where life goes, where the doors open up to. I'm open. So.
Right. Well, the openness thing is a unique trait that not all people have. Like, I don't know if you noticed, there's a lot of people who are a little bit lower in openness, and so they end up approaching life and saying things like, "Well, this is what I know. This is what I'm good at."
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, I don't ever have to learn anything else or do anything.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, that's like a really narrow lane that you're choosing to invest your life into.
Yeah.
I just like the idea of, I'll take anything to a successful point if I see the path for it. I'm not worried about like staying in my lane. Like I actually think that while staying in your lane is useful, like from point A to B,
mm-hmm.
I don't think like quote unquote staying in your lane is a healthy mentality for life.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's just my outlook. I could be wrong.
No, I agree. I would almost change it a little bit and just say, the focus from A to B is important.
Yeah.
And you don't need to necessarily stay in your lane to
Got
do
it.
that. You got to have that focus, that drive.
Sure. That's probably a better way to say it.
But I agree. I don't know. You got to be open. I mean, there's so many things in life that, can happen and be amazing and take you down these unsuspecting paths. And, I think you got to be open to that.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you made it through your kidney issues. I mean, that's something you still deal with, I'm assuming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is actually year 15 for my transplant.
Wow.
I had a family friend. Her name is Vicky. I was on dialysis for, I think, 3.5, 4 years. I say 4 years. My wife says it was only 3. I don't know who's right. I'm pretty sure I am.
Who cares? It's savage. That's
right?
hardcore.
Yeah. Although I met my wife from dialysis. She was an admin for a while, and then she became one of the technicians that helped treat me. Although
at
we
the
had
hospital,
to have at the dialysis center.
Right.
So Vicky gave me a transplant, and she had gone and got tests, and she's like, "Hey, I'm a match." For the longest time, I was like, "I don't want to take anything from a living person." I just didn't feel right about somebody going to that trouble to give me a body part. And
that's a big deal.
That's big, yeah. And it's worse for them because they're losing a kidney. Like, you know, they're losing a piece of them. I'm granted you only need one, but they're going through a major surgery,
right.
You know, to
putting
do
themselves
that.
at risk
And putting themselves, absolutely.
It's incredibly selfless.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I mean, besides like one of my kids or my wife or something,
Right.
I don't know if I could do that for totally, I can't now.
That's
but,
intense.
you know, maybe a liver
That's
or something.
intense.
Yeah, that's huge.
Charlie and I, before you arrived, we were actually talking about the concept of like, how much can I give?
Mm-hmm.
And like giving as a means to fulfillment and like achieve, like fulfilling your purpose in life.
Okay. Yeah.
Or even just achieving success. Like you have to give
Absolutely.
in order to get, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, then why wouldn't your mentality be, well, how much can I give?
Yeah.
Right. And it's not just so that you can get.
No, you're right. You have to think of it like this. I'm giving it for free,
Right?
Because if you think about like, hey, I want to get something back, you're always going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Gosh, what was it? It's a good quote. We don't give because we have because we give.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And to give your kidney to somebody is hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, wow. I wouldn't know how to accept that either.
It was, yeah.
Like somebody does a small gesture for me and I'm like amazed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You know, you don't have to pay for lunch today. You know, hey, here's a kidney.
That's different levels, man. Those are different levels. Should the title of the episode be "Give Somebody Your Kidney"?
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Whoa.
Well, how do you think it affected? Well, okay, obviously, it positively impacted your life.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But like in your own way of describing it, like like not just what does it mean to you, but like how do you think that changed the course of your life?
Gosh,
that's
man.
really deep. I'm sorry.
Deep. No, it's huge. You know, it's interesting. I'll say while I was on dialysis, I think was one of the biggest changes. I started reading a lot more on dialysis because I was there for 3 hours a day, so kind of stuck there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really started reading a lot more. And I kind of, you know, unfortunately, sometimes I lose it these days, but, you know, I kind of felt like I was on death's door, and things were really important to me to be out and doing things and experiencing things and going places when I wasn't on dialysis. And that became, you know, that was a big thing to me. And I still, you know, I still feel short of time. You know, I always feel short of time.
Like you feel like you do have a sense of urgency in life.
Absolutely.
Do you think it's a healthy sense of urgency?
Probably not. No.
I think there's such thing for sure, though.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think to a certain extent, yeah. Although, you know, sometimes I'll find myself getting frustrated if things aren't going, you know, as quick as I want them to, or, you know, we're not getting out and doing this or that.
Right.
But overall, I think it's a good push, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of one of the big life-changing things. And then obviously, you know, just, God, I mean, it allowed me to have a family. That whole experience, like I said, helped me find my wife.
Right.
You know, ended up having 2 kids. One of my kids is named after my kidney donor. And then the, I guess the kind of community and the experience that it's brought to, because every year we have a kidney anniversary.
Whoa.
And my kidney's name is Billy the Kidney.
Hell yes.
So
Hell yes.
So every year we celebrate it, and everybody gets together, and you know, it's an awesome thing. And it's just become, you know, a ritual for us. So.
I just imagine like a picture of a kidney with like a little birthday hat on it or something.
He's got a cowboy hat. He's got his pistol, man.
Oh,
at least we had some shirts made one year that was like, you know, kind of that
Wow.
cowboy thing. Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I think I want to title the episode something around not Billy the Kidney, but you know. But really,
giving.
like, I mean, it really did. Somebody doing some incredibly selfless act totally created a shift in the direction of your life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to say it or how to talk about it, but it really is beautiful and amazing.
Yeah. And I still feel the same way. Like, I rent a card every year, for sure about it. And I still don't know what to say. Like, how many times can you say thank you? And that doesn't seem to be
thanks for getting me off this machine.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, I don't know. Buy her a house
Holy smokes.
I don't know what I still got to figure out what I should do for her, but she's just the most amazing, giving person. It's just an awesome person overall. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Like your thank you card is a house or something. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not signing you up for anything, but no, but like really though, like I would feel the same way. Right? It's hard to receive.
Yes.
That sometimes but at that level, I wouldn't even know what to do either, man. So that's incredible. Well, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was a good little talk.
Yes.
I liked it. It was kind of, it was a little bit different.
Yeah, it was, still like business related in the sense of a lot of us get into entrepreneurship to do more than, make money. It's like, it's you can make money doing a lot of different things. And
absolutely.
Entrepreneurship is one of the more difficult ways to do that. And so you got to be in it for more than that. So, one of those things is giving and building something better for your community, something greater. Yeah, so. Absolutely. And I think I always look at life as an experiment. I mean, there's some things we certainly do know. The sun comes up in the east and goes down in the west every day. I mean, there's some things that we know, but overall, to me, life is just this big experiment, and you don't know the outcome. You don't know how things are going to work. You just got to keep trying things, and find where you're happy, find where it takes you, and just be open to that.
Don't be totally opposed to giving somebody your kidney.
Absolutely, yes. Recycle yourself.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, let's end it, man.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Of course.